Good evening, everyone. This is the Municipal Council Work Session meeting for Monday, August 22nd, 2022, at 6 p.m. Could we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, had a quick notice?
Roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry. Roll call.
Councilmember Brescher.
Here.
Councilmember Coyle.
Here.
Councilmember Harris. Here. Councilmember Patel.
for Edison and to seek support for them. My first project works towards bat conservation, since bats are crucial for our environment despite the social stigma that they face, especially in recent times because of COVID-19 rumors. Bats are not only pollinators for many plant species, but they're also natural means of pest control. As you can see in the pictures on the page that I have given out, I have put up 8 bat houses on 4 16-foot poles in Edison Woods Park. I'll be following up periodically to track the usage of the bat houses and their maintenance. My second project works towards recycling contamination and the common habit of wish cycling, which is putting something in the recycling bin in hopes that it will be recycled. Research has proven that recycling can be a positive emotional experience for people, and they want to believe that there's a better destination for their waste than landfills. So they recycle it instead to try to help the environment. However, the effects on the environment are quite the opposite. Recent data from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection shows that nearly half of the disposal that goes to the recycling plant ends up in landfills as non-recyclable material, otherwise known as waste. Even though this may not sound like much, the additional energy required for transporting and processing the non-recyclable waste to the garbage dump is having the opposite impact on our wallets and, most importantly, the environment, due to air pollution emissions. Since the separation machines can't completely prevent this non-recyclable waste from being processed with our recycling materials, the quality of the resulting recyclable product is compromised. Because of all of this, the recycling efforts put in with good intentions are in fact hurting our environment and even reversing the impact that recycling attempts to make. To combat this issue, my project consists of 2 parts. Part 1 was the installation of an informational kiosk in Papiani Park, as shown in the pictures. It's installed right by the 9/11 Memorial, so you can take a look after. The kiosk includes informational graphics that discusses wish cycling, as well as visuals designed by Middlesex County and NJDEP Recycle Right program. They also inform citizens about what can and cannot be recycled. Part 2 of my project, whose flyer is on the page, is a door-to-door campaign in which volunteers will be signing up to visit houses around Edison to inform our residents about the negative impact of wish cycling on the environment and how they can recycle right. Each resident that is visited will also be provided with the informational fridge magnet and Middlesex County recycling guide. In addition to in-person outreach, I aspire to reach citizens through social media and online platforms in order to really make sure that there is a change in Edison. This campaign was released just last week and is currently ongoing. My goal is to reach about 500 houses in Edison, but I'm in need of volunteers. Since this is an educational campaign, I am seeking your support to spread awareness about recycling right to help our community, and also to spread awareness about my door-to-door campaign so that other youth in Edison also get the opportunity to learn about and educate others about an important environmental issue. Thank you all for your time this evening, and I hope that you've learned something from me today. Have a good night.
Council President,
Yes.
could I just ask what contact information people should reach out to if they want to volunteer?
You can come back up to the microphone.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I didn't get that.
It's okay. Is there an email address that people that may want to volunteer should reach out to you to?
Yes, the flyer on the page that I've passed out, there's 3 copies for the council members. There is my phone number and my email on the bottom of that that you can use to reach out to me and get information for volunteering and any information that you want to learn about for recycling right.
Thank you very much.
Council President?
Yes.
Yes. I just want to congratulate you, first of all, and thank you for this initiative. I love the idea of you going door to door and educating people, and especially at this time where the climate situation is really in peril. So thank you for your efforts. It's really a great project you've undertaken. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd also like to thank Mr. Poirier. I don't think he's here today, but with his help, I was able to do it with the support of the Public Works Department here at Edison as well. So, thank you.
Fantastic.
Council President,
Yes, sure.
thank you, Kushi, for taking the leadership role, because you said you co-founded the first Girl Scout, so this is an amazing effort. But the most important is, often people think that, what to throw, what not to throw. There is always, the balance there. And your remarkable work in educating the citizens of Edison is really commendable. So again, congratulations, keep up the good work, and we're really proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I would like to thank you so much for being one of the young women to be among the Eagle Scouts. I think it is an honor and a privilege. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Council President,
Yes, Council.
I just want to thank you for enlightening me. A lot of the things I did not know, and I will be sure to be careful how I recycle.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you again. Anybody else? Again, congratulations. Looking forward to your Eagle Scout accomplishment, and thank you for all the things you've already done for the Township of Edison. If you ever need to reach any of us here, you can certainly email us. If you don't want to wait for the meeting to end, you can come early. A lot of people here, just before the meeting, you can certainly walk over and say hello to try to help your project or get a message quicker. Okay?
Thank you so much.
No problem. My pleasure. Just going through the list. Lisa, you're up next. I think, yeah. Your name and address, please.
Lisa Bukachevsky, 11 Outcalled Road.
You're
going
recognized. You have the floor.
to read a letter from a resident, an Amazon resident who lives on Elizabeth Court. I was thrilled to get this letter today, simply because I sometimes feel like this is my own fight and not everyone's fight. So here it goes. Good afternoon. While I may not be tracking the noise any longer from the Amazon site, I can assure you that myself and others on Elizabeth Court that share the wall with Amazon are still dealing with the various noises and vibrations from the warehouse. Unfortunately, as has been stated by Lisa Bukachevsky and several others, including myself, the noise from the dropping and dragging of trailers, the corrugated cardboard truck, and the truck horns have not really subsided at all with the building of the wall. We were told rather curtly at a previous council meeting that we didn't understand how sound works. However, it seems as though those involved with the decision-making process are still struggling to understand the noise impact on the residential area. My neighbor on Elizabeth Court and I have attended meetings from very early on, even before Amazon was named as the occupant for the warehouse. We have questioned many plans and pleaded for members on the council and planning board to truly anticipate the consequences of changing the type of warehousing at the site for the residents. We asked about the number of bays being utilized on the residential side compared to the Route 27 side. We asked about how close the bays were to property lines in comparison to previous warehouse occupants, and also asked about the impact of traffic when opening a side entrance exit that had previously been closed for a multitude of years. Unfortunately, the previous administration did not appear too interested in making sweeping changes, only adjustments in attempts to appease some residents and cut down on the complaints and strain on the police officers being sent to investigate noise complaints that were already non-existent by the time they arrived. While the adjustments seem to acknowledge that there is an issue with the proximity of this type of warehouse to residents, the changes so far have done little to improve quality of life. Since we have not been afforded the relief we anticipated after the wall was constructed, we have made the decision to never open our windows in the back of the house at night and preemptively apologize to our guests that get startled by the noises while we are entertaining in the backyard. We have also put a window air conditioning unit in our master bedroom, even though we have central air and it is not necessary. The window unit acts simply as a way to cover some of the Amazon noise at night. Luckily, my children's bedrooms are in front of the house and do not get the brunt of noises in the middle of the night that wake my wife and I. There have been many nights when the sounds and vibrations cause us to believe that some sort of natural disaster has occurred, only for us to become alert enough to realize it was just Amazon again. I will apologize to the residents for having to read this email since it has been written in some form numerous times already, and they certainly do not need to be reminded of their daily inconvenience. However, I want to make it clear that even though Lisa and Mark are the most vocal reminders of this issue, they are not the only residents who hope for a change. We were excited at the thought of a new administration, and we're hopeful after meeting with Mayor Joshi during his neighborhood visit on his campaign. We understand that there is not a simple answer, yet listening to the residents and experiencing the noise and disturbances firsthand is a start. We invite everyone that would like to experience having Amazon as a neighbor to spend some time in our backyard. Please know that while I am not able to attend the council meetings often, my previous emails and correspondence with the police department and health department should be revisited as the committee hopefully comes together with our common goal of improving the situation that has been created between the Amazon warehouse and the residents. Thank you, Stephen Glukowski, resident of Elizabeth Court. I think that says it all.
Lisa, thank you for your time. And I'm sorry at the moment you're alone, but people are joining. We do have a committee now, and let's hope more will come about for this.
But here's the thing. I spoke to the health department today, and I was told that they can't do anything until there's a committee. So they have no idea that one exists.
Okay. Next on the list. Azra.
Good evening. My name is Azra Beg. I'm from South Brunswick.
You recognize you have the floor.
Thank you. I recently met some of you just yesterday at the Pakistan Day Parade. Thank you for joining. The reason that I am here today in this front row here, and there's some other people here today, is because there was a serious hate incident that happened last week in Edison at the India Day Parade. Unfortunately, there was a bulldozer that was part of the parade, and it had pictures of political leaders that are in India. These leaders in India are hateful. They are proponents of hate against Muslims and other minorities. And unfortunately, this bulldozer was included in a parade that was supposed to celebrate the national pride of the country. As someone that is Muslim, I find this terrorizing and harassing, and so does the Muslim community across New Jersey, and quite frankly, across the country and around the world. Because what's happening in India with bulldozers, people's homes, people's businesses are being bulldozed. People are being killed just because of their faith. And they're just standing up for their rights, and they're being killed because either they're Muslim or other faiths. There's houses of worship that are being demolished. So to have this in Edison, I haven't heard an outcry from our elected officials that participated in this parade, condemning this. So today, I'm asking all of you, Councilman Richard Brescher, Councilman Joseph Coyle, Councilman A.J. Patel, Councilwoman Joy Shipp-Freeman, Councilman Joy Pointer, Councilwoman Margaret Harris, Councilman Nishit Patel. I actually want to hear from all of you, and I want to hear your words of condemnation, how something hateful like this should never be included in a parade here in Edison or across New Jersey. my friends who are Hindus have reached out to me, and they've said to me that this is totally unacceptable. And I'll read a quote from my friend. She wrote, "I'm appalled and ashamed at the same time at this incident. Of late, we, quote, Hindus, are becoming so radicalized. I cannot believe this is happening in America." So I know our group has met with Mayor Joshi, and he said this was unacceptable, but he said he would update his comments. We're still waiting for an updated statement from the mayor, so looking forward to that. But tonight, I'm actually here to hear from each one of you. We want to hear. We hear and we're watching across the state what you have to say. And we want to hear the condemnation that this will never happen again. What happened is unacceptable. We would also like to make sure that none of this hate goes down to the school district. I met a high school student today here in front of the municipal center. There was a press conference here this morning, and I asked her, are there incidences of hate in the schools? And she's like, yes. People joke around and say, oh, there's a bomb inside my hijab. That they're saying that she has a bomb under her scarf. And then if a fire alarm goes off, they blame Muslims. So we know there is bias and harassment that is going on. And we need to be careful, and we need to watch what we're doing. We're setting examples for the next generation. So this kind of behavior needs to be condemned and not accepted. Also, some friends of ours, some community leaders would like the council members to take the Stand Up for the Other pledge. You may have heard of it. I know our state assembly and state senate members have taken this pledge. Hopefully, Dr. Chaudhry, who has commenced this pledge, can be here with you hopefully next time. And I'm also part of the Human Relations Commission in South Brunswick. I'm the chairwoman. And we would like the Human Relations Commission hopefully to do something, in regards to this incident. And perhaps maybe you need a DEI committee or a board that's also part of Edison. So for right now, I'd like to hear from actually all of you. Thank you.
First, I just want to share with you, the mayor is gathering his comments. I don't think there's anybody here on the dais that doesn't support the mayor's vision, his comments about what happened. As for everybody here to speak individually about it without gathering all the facts, I'm not sure what their position. I know their position. We all are against something like this. But again, I was also there. We weren't unaware of what was happening behind us in a parade that's 2 miles long. So at this time, we'll continue the people speaking. At the end, we'll make comments if you don't mind. Okay, we have a lot of people to go through. Yeah, at the end of the public comments, each council member will have a chance to say something. Okay, Naiz Khan.
Good evening, council members and the audience.
Your name and address, please.
My name is Niyaz Khan, 6 Peace Street, Edison.
You recognize you have the floor.
Thank you. I'm also here for the same concern. Being an Indian citizen, I was being an Indian citizen and I became a US citizen. I've been in Edison for 15 years. Every year we used to go for Independence Day, India Independence Day parade in New York City and Oak Tree Road. The Oak Tree Road parade goes from Oak Tree to it is between the Edison Township and the Woodbridge Township. So from our community, we used to participate happily and excitingly, but since the 14th of August incident happened, my family and other of my family and community members, they were very much upset and, they got very much fear about this, whatever the incident happened with the bulldozer. People who are not aware of what the symbol is. That symbol makes, headlines in India, and there was a lot of damage happened to the minority community. The bulldozer, they destroyed one of the churches in India, and there are so many Muslim homes were destroyed with that, and they overruled the court orders, and they have a political influence to destroy the minority homes. And that symbol was being displayed on the Oak Tree Road. That makes me concerned. And my kids have been graduated from J.P. Stevens High School, and they were here, and they were listening and watching this, what has been happened. This should not happen again. And the sponsors, Indian Business Association, is a non-profit organization. They got the permission, and there should be accountability on why they included this hatred and bigotry on that. So that influences, that gives the hatred in school system and in healthcare, hospitals, wherever you go, you see the one particular faith community, they have the hatred between us. And since till now, we were happy and united, and we used to go without fear. Yesterday, I was there in New York City. I participated in our India Day parade. And after looking at this incident, I was very much shocked. So this needs to be looked into, and I want all to be answered on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you again. Again, the council members will reserve the comments to the end of the public portion. Thank you for your comments. Imtiaz Samwala.
Good evening, all. My name is Imtiaz Siamwala, 8505 Hannah Road, Edison.
You're recognized. You have the floor.
Yes, thank you much. First and foremost, thank you for providing this platform to me. Give me the opportunity to address the council. I stand before you tonight to express my disappointment. And let me be very clear. I'm not here to highlight a Hindu-Muslim issue. That is the least of our concerns in this country at this time, at least. I have many Hindu friends back in India. And not only that, but right here in my neck of the woods, right here in Edison, I ride my motorcycle with some of them, and we have family gatherings with some of them. So why am I here? I'm here to highlight right versus wrong. That bulldozer on Oak Tree Road was an evil display of bigotry, racism, injustice, and prejudice. It's a combination of all in one. That was wrong. That bulldozer was intentionally out to show one section down and glorify another. That was wrong. That bulldozer was out to destroy American values. That was wrong. That bulldozer aimed at introducing intolerance in America. That was wrong. That bulldozer wanted to rip apart the American fabric, the fabric which has many threads of various religions, nationalities, races, cultures. On that day, by displaying that bulldozer, the same American fabric was put in harm's way. That was wrong. But not all hope is lost. People with sane minds, people like you and I, we can take this same bulldozer and we can pave a new road towards bettering our lives and the lives of our future generations. We can take this same bulldozer and we can create a bridge that closes the gap in our understandings. We can take this bulldozer to crush hatred and bigotry. I want my children and my grandchildren to walk on Oak Tree Road and not feel intimidated. They are intimidated by the toxic environment that is brewing out today. I'm asking this council, can we eradicate this kind of hatred out from our system because it is toxic and it's only gonna lead to further problems for our future generations. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Jerry Shine.
Jerry Shine, 18 Winthrop Road, Edison. First of all,
Recognize you have the floor.
thank you. Reason why you're here tonight is to support Lisa and Mark for this Amazon, the noise problem they're having, the roads of Caldwell and Alcohol and Elizabeth Court. In all due respect to the committee, I really think it's up to Mayor Joshi to go to Amazon and talk to them in regards to the noise problem at night. I do commend the mayor for limiting the trailers on Vineyard Road. And I think the mayor is probably the only person in town that can actually go there and get some stuff done for the residents. It's really upsetting that the people have to, can't get a night's rest because of a warehouse that's being not being good neighbors. So I wish, in all due respect to the committee, the three council people that are on that committee, I really think it's up to the mayor to have a meeting with the executives over there in Amazon and get some stuff done. That's the only way it's going to help the residents. That's what the mayor's here for, to help the residents. Secondly, the senior center. I think tonight you guys are going to be voting on the price? No?
There's no voting tonight.
Oh, there's no voting tonight. Okay.
Wednesday.
Okay. All I ask is you guys, whatever the price is, get it approved so we can get these seniors back into their center where they belong. Get the seniors with their friends. I know the seniors are, like my mother's 87 years old, and she literally is a mile away from the senior center, and what she told me, she has to drive up to North Edison, to sit in a school. So I just urge, the council do the right thing and just get this senior center up and running. Thank you.
Thank you, Shine. Maria? Yeah, we're good. She's here? Wait, okay. I'm sorry, Maria. There's one person before you. I apologize. Mukabu Marashi? I apologize if I pronounce your name wrong. Please, at the microphone, correct me.
My name is Makbul Mansouri. I live at 23 Parker Road, Edison, New Jersey.
You're recognized. You have the floor.
I came to America in 1967, and I have lived in Edison for the last 38 years. What I have seen in America in 54 years, community helping each other and doing the right things for each other. Now, India's Independence Day, what I have seen and heard broke my heart. Having bulldozer in our own town on Independence Day. This thing can only happen, I think, in the third world countries, not in America. And this thing is happening. It disturbed me, for me, myself, my children, and my grandchildren. I was born in 1947, and I was lucky to be independent that time. And I would like to stay this country independent, people independent for this kind of things what's happening. The bulldozers, why do we need the bulldozers? To build it, as Imtiaz said, to build roads, not for destructions. Well, what has done is set up a bad example for new generation, and I hope and pray to the God that this thing stops and stops now, and nothing more happens after this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Tazir?
Good evening, all. My name is Tazim Ansari. I live on 23 Rocks Avenue, Edison.
You recognize you have the floor.
Okay. Good evening, all. Thank you for giving opportunity to speak this evening. And I would like to raise the same issue which some of residents already raised. I'm an Indian origin person, and I live in Edison. And my family always go watch this India Day parade, and we're very happy to see every year this parade, and we enjoy that back home. We are doing something very great, and we are connected with this parade. And this year, when we see this parade, we feel like something wrong is happening here, right? What is going on? Why this bulldozer in this parade? Is bulldozer part of Indian freedom struggle? It is used anyway in Indian freedom struggle? Why it is there? And then I see I see the pictures of some of the leaders of India who actually anti-minorities. They are using their policies to shut up or somebody who dissent against their policy by demolishing their homes. They're demolishing minority homes, businesses, and they're not going with any person like or fate. Like they're also dehumanizing lower caste Hindus. Okay, so it's not about like only minorities. It is about everyone. Anybody who watch that bulldozer in that parade, he will feel disgusted. He will feel like this is unacceptable. My kid goes to JP Stewart High School, and when she see that, she asked me that question, Baba, why we seeing this thing here? We see that in Indian media, this thing is used to dehumanize people. This thing is used to shut up the people. This thing is used to dehumanizing people. In America, they learn freedom, just social justice and liberty. And they learn in the school system of democratic values that everybody is equal, everybody have same respect, everybody is like free to do whatever they want. That what they learn in a school system. And I see that that's going away in Edison. And if we allow something this to happen, it is unacceptable. And I really feel ashamed to see that. And I want some comments from all of you councilmen. And I will look to see your comments. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mayor Orchard?
Maria Orchid, 83 Jefferson, Edison.
I recognize you have the floor.
Thank you. I would like to invite everybody to a cleanup on Silver Lake. We need volunteers for Friday, August 26th. Please check beautiful Edison website for further information. Schools will be opening on September 6th, so I was wondering what's the crossing guard situation, as well as the before and after care. Want to make sure there's no waiting lists for the schools for the before and after care. Like to say thank you to everyone who came to celebrate the Edison Community Garden Initiative's opening yesterday to the public. If you're interested in any further information, please check the website. Also, Plays in the Park will have a free Labor Day concert on September 5th, 4 o'clock. Looking forward to seeing everybody. Plays in the Park, a free concert on Labor Day, September 5th, 4 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron Loeffler?
Hi, Ron Loeffler, 6 Nancy Circle.
I recognize you have the floor.
Over 2 years ago, my neighborhood came together in an unprecedented manner to stop an Amazon-like warehouse from getting built at the end of a residential street. The reason I'm here today is out of concern due to the perceived lack of communication and action. I feel that communication between the people and government is very important. So regarding the Silver Lake Glendale property acquisition, in February 2022, 6 months ago, the mayor announced that Edison would be acquiring the property. Prior to that, in 2021, we applied for and received $1.25 million in Green Acres grants. In March of 2022, the council passed a bond ordinance to purchase the property. In April 2022, the mayor held a town hall with the residents of the neighborhood to discuss the future of the property. About a month ago in July, we all received a letter with our water bill reminding us that the administration had reached an agreement to purchase the property. At the June 29 council meeting, a resident inquired regarding the status of the Silver Lake warehouse and the property, and a response was given by the council attorney of 90 days. I think we're all under the impression that based on that statement, the closing will be at the end of September, give or take a few days. On July 18th, I followed up with a call to the council attorney, but I haven't heard back. So today, it's August 22nd. What are the status? Obviously, we are further along as far as the date and timeline is concerned, but where are we with closing on the property? What are the status of the Green Acres funds? Has the county been asked for, or have they signaled they will match funds if the property will remain open space? It's been stated by the attorney at these council meetings that there's an agreement or understanding in principle that no warehouse will be built and the property will be acquired. I don't fully comprehend that statement. Is there a contract for this property? Yes or no? If there was 90 days ago or 60 days ago, we are in fact heading towards that 90-day closing. So are we under contract? If yes, since when? If not, why not? Is there a willing seller and a willing buyer? I think we should have something other than what we have today. When was the last time there was communication with the seller, the seller's attorney, and the township? Obviously, I have more questions than answers. This has been going on for over 2 years now. We're counting on the mayor and we're counting on the council at this point. I ask that a member of council take ownership of this today and ask questions and give updates at the council's bi-monthly meetings as part of their reports or points of light. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. We'll get some answers to your questions. I think we're off the list here. Anybody from the public can raise their hand if they'd like to speak. Any members of the public? Sir, please come up.
Good evening, council members, president, and everybody. My name is Nausher Ahmed. I'm from 8 Maida Road, Edison, New Jersey.
You're recognized. You have the floor.
Thank you. So I'm here with the same concern regarding the bulldozer on Oak Tree Road on India Parade Day. India Parade Day is supposed to be for all the Indians who are living in US, not for only 30-35% Hindutva ideology, those who are growing and spreading hate in India, and now they are sending it overseas in America now, in our Edison Township. Going to background, Modi, the current Prime Minister of India, he's the one came from RSS. They have acquired ideology from the Hitler, and actually one in his state in Gujarat, they have written the book, in which book they idealize Hitler as a hero. And Yogi Adityanath is the second one who's big-time Hindutva person who's using this. He's the one first started using bulldozer to demolish Muslim activists and anybody who's protesting against their ideology or in their operation. They're going around and demolishing their houses and house of worship. It's not only limited to Muslims only. They have demolished Christian churches. They have attacked Christians in India, and they are now spreading here, and I'm worried that it may trickle down to our society here. Even in our school system, if there's a Edison Parents WhatsApp group and Edison Parents Facebook. and they're also, they're putting their hate speech, hate messages there, which is really disturbing for us. We are here to raise our kids' value, not to instill hate in their mind. So I'm concerned about this, and I think council should look into that regarding who had the permit for this India Day parade. It should be inclusive. It should be not only 35% people who are behind this ideology. Hinduism has nothing to do with Hindutva. Hindutva is a different thing. So not all the Hindus are supporting them. And that's why you will see, even in India, they are suppressing any Hindus or Muslim or Christian, anyone who speaks against their policy, they are oppressing them. They're putting in jail without any legal process. Same thing, they're breaking, they bulldoze all their houses or churches or mosques without due process. There's no legal notice, there's no explanation, there's no judge orders, nothing. They just say that Adityanath, who's the chief minister of UP, one of the biggest state, he just orders and they demolish it. It's not only UP, it's only one of the state in Madhya Pradesh, it's in central India. There's a Karnataka, which is southern part of the state, and Assam, which is the eastern part of the state. So it's going all over, but the concern we have here in US as US citizen, that they're trying to bring their ideology of hate in Edison and all over US. So I will really request you guys to look into their permit and see maybe in future, they should be inspected, all the floors, to make sure there's no hate thing in there, and it should be inclusive, that they should have display of Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Hindus, and everybody. It should not be only for Hindutva people. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else that's not on the list, please sir, come up.
Thank you. My name is Dylan Terpstra. I work with the Council on American Islamic Relations. I do not live in Edison, but our office is about 10 minutes away in South Plainfield, and I've been working with community members on this issue. I don't know.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, you've been.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So, look, we all know about the Bulldozer Incident now. We're all aware of it. Nobody here doesn't know about it. But essentially, it's not enough to just condemn all hate. This specifically needs to be condemned. The use of the bulldozer and the usurpation of this national holiday for Indians in America, celebrating their heritage, their history, their independence from the British Empire, into something that is hateful and full of political garbage from overseas. It needs to be understood what this bulldozer really means, right? Homes, mosques, businesses, churches are being demolished in India because people speak up and out against Baba Bulldozer and other Hindutva leaders. On the bulldozer, it says in Hindi, Baba Bulldozer, Daddy Bulldozer, right? That is the name of essentially the governor of one of the Indian states, Uttar Pradesh. And if you speak up against him, you're going to get your house bulldozed, right? So this is clearly giving a message of intimidation to American, Indian, Muslims, and other minorities that, hey, we are here, we are in control, you can't do anything, even in America. So this really does need to be called out and understood. Most of the American public does not understand that this was a form of hate. They probably, when someone, regular, average Joe American saw that bulldozer, they're probably like, oh, I don't know, it's a bulldozer. And it looks nice, there's photos of people. Okay, that's it, right? They don't understand that it's actually a symbol of hate, because this started this year in India, in the whole trend of Baba Bulldozer, and, right, if you speak out, we're sending the bulldozers, right? So it really needs to be understood. Most Americans don't understand that at this point, but it essentially is the same thing that black people faced with the noose, right? That intimidating people. It's essentially working in the same way. So we cannot only just condemn all hate, as vaguely as that sounds. This specifically needs to be condemned, and the organizers need to be told that this is unacceptable, and there cannot be any official participation in such a parade from elected officials if this is going to continue, and there should be more of a vetting process. Of course, without infringing anyone's rights of free speech or assembly. but this just is creating division in the community, and we don't want that anywhere in New Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else from the public? Yes.
Bishop Nicholas Brown, Senior Pastor of Ignite Church in Edison, New Jersey. Also part of the Edison Human Relations Commission. In 1963, Dr. King said this, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We're caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Through the chair to the council vice president, thank you, Madam Vice President, for your time on Friday afternoon when you sat with us just over here, and the mayor, and listened to each one of these, our friends to my right and to your left, who expressed their concern, their fear, and their wonder at how this bulldozer incident happened. Let me be very clear. Not only as a pastor here in town, not only as part of the Edison Human Relations Commission, but also as a child who grew up in this town, never in my life have I seen something like this to occur in this town. The mayor stood here on Friday afternoon and expressed his disgust with it. He repetitively said that a statement would be issued, and it has not been. He repetitively said that we would see a statement come out, and if we wanted to see an updated statement, to call his office. Now, I'm not sure if anyone has called his office to receive the statement, but let me be very clear that this act of hatred and injustice not only has repercussions here in Edison, but across the state, across the country, and across the world. There are children who were along that parade route. There was a young lady who was just sitting over here the other day who was in tears because her children were afraid that their house was going to be bulldozed. The same children who were growing up in our schools, whether it be J.P. Stevens, Edison High School, James Monroe, or even John Adams. Whether it's any of those schools, these are children's lives that are now being impacted by our ignorance and vulnerabilities. Let me be clear again that an act of injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I've asked members from the Edison Human Relations Commission to join us tonight. If you guys would stand for just a moment so they can see that we're here in support of our friends. Thank you. So I'm calling to those leaders. We've put you in place for a reason. Do your job.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else off the list? Members of the public like to speak? Have a motion to close the public portion.
Motion to close the public portion.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The public portion is closed. Thank you, council members. Thank you, members of the public. Any members of the council would like to make comment? If you want to wait for a prepared statement, that is your choice. If you want to make some short comments, you're more than
Council
welcome.
President?
Yes.
I'd like to.
You're recognized, Councilman Harris.
Thank you. It's really hard to top first of all, I want to say salam alaikum to the Muslim community and tell you what a wonderful day it was yesterday at the Pakistani Day Parade. It was a terrific event, and it was an honor to be there. It's hard to top the eloquence of each and every one of the people who have spoken on this issue. Speaking only for myself, I can tell you I did not know anything about this bulldozer situation until I believe it was the day after. We had been positioned at the very back of the parade, and so I don't believe I had seen it anywhere. But and admittedly, not knowing anything about what the meaning of this is, and I think that therein lies the problem. And I think we're all aware of how much hatred and intolerance there is going on in this country and across the world. And we see it on social media every day. I see it on local social media every day. But I do find what took place a week ago Sunday to be absolutely hideous, unacceptable. I believe that if it was in fact the Indian Business Association that was responsible for putting this there, that they have to be held accountable, and a lot of questions need to be asked, and we need some answers about what they plan to do about this going forward. But I was talking to Azra before our meeting tonight, and she had come to me talking about this very situation and wanting to hear from the council. And I really think that we all could use, I think we all tend to be very provincial here. We think about things in the community, locally, and how they affect us. We don't really think in the, and I'm just as guilty of this as anybody else. We don't think in the greater universe. And this is a real eye opener. And I think that going forward, we could all use some education. We could use some schooling in cultural sensitivity and, what kinds of symbols are particularly toxic to what cultures. And I don't know if there's something that can be done, if this is something through the Human Relations Committee that can be undertaken. But we all need a lot of work on this, and I am just as accountable for that as anybody else. So I just want to say that I do condemn in the strongest of terms what took place last week. And we do need to hold those who are responsible accountable, and we need to have some discussions on how we are going to do that going forward. So please rest assured that this is not going to be dropped, and it's not going to just sit and gather rust. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Harris. Any other council members? Yes,
Council Vice
Vice President, you're recognized. You have the floor.
Actually, I was very disturbed by the event. Like he said from CARE, he said, had it been a noose, would all of us be walking behind it, and would we all be accepting it and saying it's so? No, that wouldn't be true. Unlike other people, my grandparents came in 1929 here to Edison, escaping those nooses, escaping all that terrorism of the South. And up until lately, when we had the racist flyer, now we have a bulldozer. This is not my Edison. This is not the Edison we should accept. We should all stand out against it, because let me tell you, if it's on one group today, it'll be on another group tomorrow. We have to all stand together. And whoever is responsible for that parade needs to come up, and they need to cough it up, and they need to know why. Because we are, like Councilwoman Harris said, we were oblivious. We were so far in the back, but we did not understand what a bulldozer meant. We did not understand. My whole thing, what I'm doing all the time, is trying to make sure I get people on my Human Relations Committee. I welcome people from your community. I need more people to come in, because we need a teaching group of people who learn, who examine these things before they happen, before they get too way out of hand. A lot of people want to say, oh, my hands are not dirty. But I find issue with you if you were in charge of this parade and you made a fool out of me by me standing behind there, making other people think that I was good for their hate. And I don't never want to be made a fool out of doing things that's incorrect. I am, and I say, I'm learning all the time. And if something hurts you, it should hurt me also, because we should all be one. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Any other council members?
Council President?
Yes, Councilman Pointer, you're recognized. You have the floor.
Thank you, sir. I reciprocate a lot of what Councilwoman Harris and Council Vice President Chip Freeman has said. What I would like to say, though, is that one of the ways that we fight against this type of stuff is just becoming knowledgeable and actually speaking with one another. Before getting the email from last Tuesday about the event, I had no idea about what this symbolism represented. So in my part, I will absolutely stay after tonight, after any council meeting, to discuss these types of things so that I can become more aware, so that we can have conversations to spread this awareness so that we are knowledgeable going forward. That's my commitment to you and to anyone else that may have experienced the same thing, because we do not want that type of divisiveness or that type of hatred, quite honestly, just spread about the township. So again, I offer my time afterwards. If you're willing to stay to discuss further, I offer that going forward. And thank you, Council President.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman Porter.
Now, Council President,
Yes, you have the floor, Councilman.
I just want to say I was not aware of what it represented. If I knew that this what it was represented, I would have condemned it on the spot, and I would not have participated, even though it is my culture that I was celebrating. And that is not a culture of hate that I want to represent, and that's something I completely condemned. Hate has no place in Edison. I'm deeply disturbed by the symbolism that was displayed in this march. The bulldozer represented intolerance of a culture. It represented division. It represented hatred. And I firmly condemn the use of this imagery in this march. In Edison, the only thing we should be intolerant of is intolerance itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Patel. Any other council members? Yes, Councilman Patel. I'm sorry, did I? Rich?
I'll go after you.
I was looking.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President.
You're recognized, you have the floor.
Yeah. In fact, I wanted to speak last because I have been the conduit between the.
Councilman Brescher?
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Councilman Brescher, you have the floor, you're recognized. It's
All
best
right,
to go
I
last.
guess I'm not going last. But I'd like to echo everybody else's comments up here in a way that I didn't go to the parade. I had COVID. Not going to tell you, I knew there was a bulldozer there, so that's why I didn't go. But I had COVID that day, and there's a lot that happens outside of Edison that we're just unaware of, that happen in other countries and throughout the world. There's just too much in the news. And for myself, I focus on what's here in the United States and what's here in Edison. I understand the intolerance that happened that day with the bulldozer after I received an email. Before that, I did understand that there were issues in India today. I think it came up like a year ago or something with a little part of a country or something inside of India, maybe. Began with a K.
Kashmir.
Right. So something came up, and I did realize that something's happening over there. And it was spilling over into Edison because it happened at a council meeting, which I didn't understand as an American, you know, like why we're bringing the baggage from one place to here. Because here I see tolerance. I see my children that graduated from J.P. Stevens, like yours. They have friends that are, they're multi-ethnic, they're multi-religious, they're marrying people within different religions. They're true Americans, the children that are here. And these are all the children that you're raising, so I do believe that there's hope for our children here. I don't see that as something that I'm going to say I'm worried about Edison. I am worried about the adults that come here and bring this baggage from another country where they do have intolerance for people, which is wrong. And I don't understand why we still have that here. That should be condemned. I know that we don't make the parade, right? All we do is give a permit. And that permit should be vetted, by our mayor or who's ever given our permits here, to see what's happening at these, parades and who's coming. I don't even know that all of the event organizers would have known if it wasn't for what we just seen from getting the email and then some pictures I noticed on Facebook that showed it, because I never would have thought that a bulldozer meant anything but a bulldozer. You know what I mean? I seen the mayor at a parade. He was on a tank. I was like, hey, that's cool. It's a tank. so we don't really understand what that symbolism is. But by you bringing this to our attention, it stops it from going forward. So you actually were the ones that put that brake on, because I could tell you that I would say that if there's a bulldozer at another parade, I don't think you'd find one elected official there. So what you're doing today by bringing awareness is the first step, and that's the strong step that needs to be done, is you're educating us. So I thank you for all coming here and giving us your time and kind of explaining this to us. Thank you.
Councilman Patil. You recognize you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. In fact, the reason I wanted to go last, because I have enough of history that I can talk about both the communities. We have ups and downs, and often I'm the conduit who reaches out to both the sides of the aisles and try to resolve or try to mitigate the situation. Unfortunately, parade just happened. I attended yesterday's Pakistani Day parade, so I did attend the earlier week's India Independence Day parade. In fact, I was in the parade. I did see the bulldozer, but it didn't really catch my attention to the extent, because I don't follow the Indian politics too much. And I have said this multiple times on this dais: let's not bring the international politics in America. More we start thinking about that, more we probably instigate or more we get into the issues. Does our next generation knows about this? Absolutely not. More we talk, yes, it carries forward, and they do hear this thing, and it will have the impact. Are our schools impacted? I will say no. My kids go into public school. I have not seen. My kids have the Muslim friends. We never consider, as a different community altogether. Skin color is same, the blood color is same, the food is same, pretty much everything is same. So why do we divide ourselves saying you are Hindus and you are Muslim? I don't believe in that. And we have Dr. G here. I have been to mosque multiple times. In fact, the incident, if I had to quote, 2019, when the Pakistani ambassador gave some very, I would say, the difficult statement on the dais, where Ms. Arza Beg, you were present, and some of the government officials were present. In fact, that was the start, and a lot of people, it didn't go well. My council colleagues talked about Kashmir, and that time I said, no, we're not going to talk about Kashmir or India or Pakistan. Here, we are here to celebrate Pakistan's Independence Day, and let's celebrate that. In fact, I did reach out to my counterpart in the Indian community. I said, no, someone from the outside can make the statement, doesn't mean that we should get disturbed internally. This is our community. We need to keep calm, and we need to keep control and ignore those people. The reason I say that, I believe in Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy. Don't pay too much attention around. There are people who wants to start the fight and take the benefit out of that. So I would say, with this note, was this the right thing done? Absolutely not. Do I accept this? Absolutely not. But is there a way that we can resolve some of these things reaching out across the aisle? Absolutely yes. In fact, that is the right forum. That's the right approach, rather than coming out publicly and showing to the world that there is a big issue in the communities. Yes, there is an issue, but I don't think we should make that bigger and bigger. That would pass on for many, many years, and people will start thinking about it, or people will start talking about it. So my request, humble request to entire community, and in fact, I'm closely in touch with Sam Khan, who was the organizer of Pakistani Day Parade, which I attended yesterday. I have good friends in the Pakistani community. I never kind of felt, we had any difference of opinion, but I'm surprised that, we are kind of discussing the issue or discussing the politics that happens back home. Again, what happens back home, I absolutely don't follow. I don't agree with that. But again, I'm not going to talk about any of the politics here. In terms of the parade, I think the best way is to reach out the association. Both the associations should sit down and talk about how do we collaboratively work together. And I can give an example. If you look at, you all are here, right? If you see on Oak Tree Road, overnight the flags were exchanged. That's a peace and harmony. Had it been there is hatredism between these two communities, this would not have happened. The Indian flag was taken out and the Pakistani flag was raised right on Oak Tree Road. it is because there is a peace and harmony, there is understanding between these two communities. So I'm kind of stunned and surprised that too many people are coming and saying this is a decisive, this is a hate, and this is not acceptable. Yes, that one particular float, the bulldozer, yes, it's not acceptable. But in terms of the entire India Independence Day parade, I think it went pretty well. I did not walk, but it did pretty well. And again, there will be differences, and we need to make sure that we bring it to the attention of those organizations and take those down. That's the best way to do it. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Patil.
Sir,
Okay, excuse me. We have to
I
just
give
have
my
order.
comment. I have the video of 2019 Pakistan Day Independence Day
We have
parade.
to-
It's Independence Day parade. I'm talking about Independence Day parade.
We have to have order in this meeting. Please, if you'd like to speak, your time was before. I just want to give some brief comments myself as council president. I'm disgusted to listen to what happened. Had I known, I would not participate in this parade. I would have walked right off the street knowing this. And I speak the same, I'm sure, for every council member here and any official in Edison or in the state of New Jersey, I'm sure would not participate. What happened, bringing international politics to the downtown streets of Edison, of Oak Tree Road, is just wrong. It's just dead wrong. We will look into this. I'll ask my colleagues and the mayor to look at the permit process of parades and see where we can put restrictions of this ever happening again. And I am saddened to see all of you come here, to have witnessed what happened, knowing what's going on internationally, and how this is just creating a divide. And I'm truly sorry. We will look into this and expect this to continue. But again, for you, those who spoke today, we are with you. I do understand this is just dead wrong, how this came together. So I'm sorry this did happen in Edison, and I apologize for not being aware of this earlier. Any other council comments?
Council President, in fact, we should, because this permit process go through mayor's office, in fact, we should, I don't know whether it's a resolution or something, we should ask the administration to screen the floats who are participants, what they are doing, because we'll have no idea until it goes in the block, right?
Yeah.
Council President,
Yes, you have the floor.
I believe the people that organized the parade and everything that was going on should have been aware of every float back and forth, because some of the pictures I seen are even disturbing to my community at all. And I believe that if I'm in charge and I'm organizing something, I better know everything that's there, that I shall be responsible for it. And speaking for the mayor and our council president, we administer the permits. I'm seconding what he says. We would have never participated in something like this had we known anything like this. We would never have.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Again, to the permit process, we'll leave that up to the attorneys and the mayor and our council for another date, but something will change in that process. I can guarantee you that before the end of this year. Moving forward, again, Assalamu alaikum and inshallah. Okay. All right, moving forward on the agenda, council members, thank you for your participation and your comments on that matter. We're moving to the review of the minutes. Madam Clerk, we're at number 5, correct? Any comments on the minutes? Hearing none. Any comments on the minutes? Everybody participated at those meetings? Okay, number 6, administrative agenda for the mayor, Sam Joshi. Appointments to the Cultural Arts Committee. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, moving forward to reports from all council committees. Not sure if I should go from my left or my right.
Council President?
I'm sorry, you're not recognized yet. I was going to go to the council committees.
Yeah.
Did you want to go first?
Well, you said that.
You should
said
go
council
last.
Committees. Okay, I'll go last.
Go last.
Okay. The rest of the people back, go ahead.
I mean, that's how we've done it. To my left, John Pointer, Councilman Pointer.
Thank you, Council President. The Environmental Commission did not have a meeting in August. The next meeting is Thursday, September 15th. The Historic Preservation Commission is figuring to have a meeting at the end of September. A date has not been established yet, but once that is established, I will absolutely advise. The Parks and Recreation Subcommittee will be looking to have a third quarter meeting sometime at the end of September, and I will leave it to Councilman Brescher about the Amazon Subcommittee. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember Pointer. Councilman Patil?
Council President, for DPW committee meeting, I think we are waiting for Mr. Toth to give us the time. From the Amazon, again, thank you, Lisa and Jerry Shine, for bringing this to our attention. I know that we have the subcommittee here, and Councilman Brescher will shed more light. You know, we did receive dozens of email, and in my personal capacity, I did visit the place several times, on and off, morning, afternoon, evening, early morning, and I consistently see the same issue. You know, there's traffic, trucks, sound, noise, light. I'm not sure on how the residents are still continue after 2 years. You know, they are still going through that. So my request to our committee chair is to probably we need to step up. Let's inform all the departments that this subcommittee is formed, and we can collectively submit the report on what we see, what we observe, and at least let's start issuing the summons to Amazon, so at least, you know, it will bring to their attention. Thank you, Council President.
Yes. Councilmember Brescher?
Okay, with Amazon, we requested the documents from the original wall and what was approved. We did receive them. I have not looked at them. I just handed them out this evening. We've been trying to get to meet someone from Amazon to take us around. Sonia gave us a contact. After about 2 weeks, the contact contacted me to tell me that he is no longer in charge of this. So I need somebody from the administration to give me a valid contact. I sent Sonia a text. I didn't realize she was away.
I will make a note of it and let her know.
Okay. Another question to for our attorney. We were talking about in our noise ordinance where it says no loading or unloading during certain hours.
Correct.
And it doesn't really talk about decibel level. It's just that if it is noisy, and that's what we have with the able trucking. Is this something that we should keep track of with our health department and police department like we did with able trucking?
Yes. The answer is yes, you should. And the reason you did the ordinance the way you did it is so that we wouldn't have to go out and measure the decibel levels.
Right.
Right. And the able trucking amendment we most recently did had to deal with the specific of able trucking where they were loading equipment onto equipment essentially and claiming that, well, that's not cargo, it's equipment. So I think we closed that loophole, but yes, I think you're exactly correct that it probably requires some kind of steady enforcement by the health department and the police department as to whether it's being violated or not.
Okay, can we get a contact within the police department? I think some changes were made since we did the able trucking to maybe who our new contact might be now.
Yes, sir.
And that would be a council vice president.
Thank you.
Next.
That would be a.
Okay, that would be
Council.
Nish. That would be Nish.
So on August 4th, we had the Open Space Committee meeting. The main topic of discussion was bike paths. And one of the things that we want to pursue is start small. I did want to ask, what would be the possibility of starting a study for Kilmer Road to paint bike paths on it? That was one of the main requests from the Open Space Committee. So what will be the process for that?
So the question is, what's the process to study whether or not we can create bike lanes? So that's probably, it probably goes to engineering and traffic in the police department. You know, it has to do with a lot of things, speed of the road, width of the road. So if you could just make a note, Laura, and just let Sonia know, and then we'll engage the traffic. We'll probably start with traffic in the police department.
That's all? I was going to say Councilwoman Harris?
No reports.
Okay, that'll be me. We discussed the master plan. We had the meeting for that and to see how we're moving right along. As you know, with the master plan, we'll be able to take care of probably some of our zoning and some of our problems that existed because we had not done it until now. I also had a meeting with the Veterans Committee, and I had hoped that we would be able to open up the place on November, but I'm having problems getting documents from some of them. So hopefully, we'll be able to get those documents. They said some will be available to me by the end of the month because we want to donate money, and also the county wants to donate money also to it, but you have to show paperwork because you can't just say, may I have some money, and not show all your paperwork. Also, with the Public Safety Division, very, very thankful that we had our first class of high school students for our police academy, and we had 2 groups of younger students, but we had like, over the summer, let's see, close to 300 kids were engaged in our public safety program. And I'd like to thank Councilmember John Pointer and Councilmember Margot Harris, along with our council president, for being present for the youth so they could see that that might be a good career for them later on. And also, I see what other committee. We didn't meet for the school committee. Most of our other committees will meet and will resume in September. That would be it from that. So from this point on, points of light.
Don't look at his written notes.
Okay, at the written notes on it.
Council Vice
All right.
President? Oh,
Yes.
Are we at points of light?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
You want to go? Sure. Go ahead. Go.
Okay, okay.
Go.
The dedication of the community garden was a week ago tomorrow, and it was a really wonderful event. We had a beautiful, beautiful day, and these beds have turned out just better than I could have imagined. We had a wonderful turnout for this event, and there are plants and vegetables that are growing in there. When I spoke on Tuesday, I made mention of the fact that one of the things I like about this concept is that back in World War I and World War II, the community gardens were called Victory Gardens, and Victory Gardens were established as a morale boost, and they were also established to try to feed the community during rough times. And given the fact that the community garden is going to be feeding it's going to be feeding some of the Hands of Hope pantry, the food pantry, it's in that same kind of spirit. So I'm hoping that we can have more of these community gardens pop up all over town. It's a really wonderful way of bringing people together and doing something that's renewable and sustainable. So I'm really excited about this. The other thing, I don't know if any of you had gotten a letter from Congressman Pallone. He had written a letter stating that, he said, I'm writing with an important update on what I'm doing to improve public health infrastructure in Middlesex County. I secured $3 million in federal spending bill for fiscal year 2023 to renovate and expand the Toth Memorial Health Center in Edison. The bill is expected to go to the House floor for a vote in the coming months. Once the legislation passes both the House and the Senate, it will go to President Biden's desk for signature. So it looks like if everyone can get on board, it looks like we can get some spending. We can get some $3 million from the government to help with the Toth Memorial Health Center. So I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other points of light from any of the council members?
No, start from
I have my list here, okay? From the clerk's office, we have Wednesday, 8/26, August 26, 10 a.m., the Ukraine flag raising.
August 24th.
August 26th.
24th at 10 a.m.
Was it 4th? Okay.
24th, Wednesday at 10 a.m.
26th, I apologize. And the first annual House Music in the Park Festival, Saturday, August 1st. What was it? No, the first annual, it's August 27th at Lake Papiani from 12 to 8. And it's the first annual House Music in the Park Festival, Saturday, August 27th at Lake Papiani, 12 to 8. And the Township of Edison will be closed on Monday, September 5th for Labor Day. Monday, September 5th, there will be no garbage or municipal recycling collected. Monday, garbage recycling will be collected on Tuesday, September 6th. I'm going to repeat that real quick because I get a lot of text messages that people don't get the message. So Monday, September 5th, will be no municipal garbage or recycling collected. Monday, garbage and recycling will be collected on Tuesday, September 6th. And Tuesday's garbage will be collected on Wednesday, September 7th. Thank you. Any other points of light? Hearing none, we'll move through the agenda right here. We have from the Business Administrator, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. Any other comments from the council members? Hearing none. Moving to 10, Department of Finance, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Any council comments? Hearing none, moving to the Department of Health, 11, A and B. Any council comments?
Council President?
Yes.
On A, I have a question. This is for veterinary services. I believe that, do we already have 2 other veterinary people that are approved?
Yes, we do.
This is a 3rd one?
Yes, we do. Yes, it is.
Can you
We always
please-
have,
can
I'm
you-
sorry, go ahead.
Can I get the information for our next meeting before Wednesday to let me know what the total amount of our veterinary spending was for last year? Because I believe that this would be like $360,000 maybe in veterinary spending.
You mean, well, if you look at the approved, if you look at the memo, it'll show you, this is the 3rd one, how much is going to be approved with this 3rd one.
I think it was 120.
Yeah,
And I think
let me-
one before it was 120.
It'll show you on the memo, if you want to just know for this one, but I will get you the past ones. Let me pull it for you.
Right, I'm looking for what we spent last year.
I will.
And then B. I have some concerns when we talk about this is for the senior center, correct?
Correct.
Yes, it is.
And I'll tell you where my concern is that we close down a building that we use. That's never a good thing. That should be the number one thing. Government is keeping the buildings open, right? And what happened was when we first heard this, I asked for a copy of all of our reports from our reporting companies and our fire department, right, to try and determine where this problem took place. And then once you determine that, then you could come up with a way to fix that problem. So what I came up with was in 2019, there was pressure dropping and air leaks throughout the system. Now, to most people, you don't know what that means, but that basically means that your system has a leak in it. Okay, then the Edison Township came through in 2020, and they did not get an annual suppression system inspection test, which is required. They also did not get a copy of the latest fire alarm test report in 2020. Okay, so our fire department came through, our chief had his people come through, and they noted that our systems weren't tested to see even if they worked. Then in 2021, our Allied Fire Protection came through, and they noticed that internal inspections of the pipe performed in the last 5 years, and they do that because if they find sludge or anything in there, they clean out the pipes and they can treat the pipes so the system could last you another couple years or 10 years. But we didn't do that, so we just neglected that system again. And then the electrical water flow alarm devices weren't determined to be operational. And we also did not pass our air leakage test. So again, we know the system is broken and we haven't done anything. And then in 2021, our chief sent the fire inspectors out there again, our fire chief. And they had, well, we didn't have the annual fire suppression inspection, testing, and maintenance. We didn't test the fire alarm testing. Emergency egress lighting repairs were required. Egress doors failed, which is, you know, what your seniors would need to kind of get out. So it was almost like a failure in this 2021. And then we moved to this year where we came to council and we asked for a sprinkler system, which seems like it was just neglected, right? And that's why we need to replace the whole system, because if we would have done any of these repairs over the last few years. But more importantly, you're not required to have a sprinkler system in your schools. You're not required to have a sprinkler system in your homes, but you are required to have a fire alarm system in your home. Everybody that's ever bought a home knows you got to have the little smoke heads outside your bedrooms, and your schools all have that. But yet we don't have anything that tells us that it's actually operational. In fact, this report here says it's non-operational. So what I see is we're asking for the funds for the sprinkler system. That's all well and good. Can the administration tell me what we're going to do with the fire alarm system that obviously needs some kind of repair? It needs to be operated. You can't open up the senior center if we approve this sprinkler and you get it working tomorrow. You still can't open this building. So what are we doing about these other items is my question, if I can get an answer for that.
I will find out for you. I can just answer to this because we received the notice from the fire department, so I know that they needed this done, but I will find out about that for you. But to this point, for what's on the agenda, I can only answer for.
And just for the record, Oprah requested the emails that went back and forth between the administration and like DPW and fire, because my concern was, when did somebody notify the administration or the mayor that we had an imminent hazard, right? Like the mayor got in here in January when he would meet with his department heads. His department head should be say, you know, Mayor, listen, we got some holes in the bottom of this ship and it's going down. So I'm wondering when the administration was given that notification that the senior center basically was a hazard to our seniors. So that's why I opened those emails. That's really what I'm looking for. I know that I haven't gotten them yet, but.
Council President?
One second, Council Vice President, you finished, Mr. Brusher, you finished?
That's it for those items, yes.
Council Vice President, you have the floor.
All right, about the senior citizen, the senior place, I've been screaming about the senior place for years. I figure everybody got an epiphany now. Because I noticed that in 2020, when everything shut down, the whole world stopped back and forth when this incident came up. And I still was screaming about senior citizens and all the information. And I talked directly to our director of that time and time again. After that shut down, then here comes Ida. And that's why I kept getting pushed off. So I can understand the questioning on about the senior center, and the person in charge of it should have been more aware of it too, as I asked him over and over again about things for the senior citizen building, not just the building, the water system, whatever, but also for programming, because I'm very, very interested in moving that forward and taking care of our seniors and making sure they have a great place that they can be, that they can congregate together, and that they also can feel very safe in. Like he said, certain places you don't have to have that, but we all know that seniors sometimes come in on walkers, sometimes they come in on wheelchairs, so we should be like 100% for this right now, before before the fall sets deeply in.
Council President?
Yes.
And I know that that Laura, in her role as purchasing agent was in the middle of this also, so I became aware of it when there was a contractor on site that's working on, I believe,
Well,
bathrooms.
yes, and that's what I understand. When the contractor was on site, we did receive this notice from, they said that it wasn't working, and then we
Correct.
received the notice from the fire department. That's when I became aware
Correct.
of this. and
So that's what kicked it, that's what.
That's what the result of this is.
I can't speak about what happened in 20 and 21. I know that what kicked this off that led to this contract was the notice from the contractor. The fire department went in, did the inspection. We immediately, and you're right, we always wanted to keep buildings open, and I don't know whether that was the impetus to keep it open before 2022. That's when we began the process immediately of going through the emergency contract process, and we alerted council, and so that you may have known about some of those other things before I did. I'm just telling you when Laura and I got involved
In
in
your
it.
packet, you'll see the notice from the fire
Correct.
marshal, and that's when
Correct.
this specific emergency started. And I spoke to him personally about it to,
But if your question is why didn't we know about the 2020?
I'm saying that.
I'm just telling you that that's when we were alerted to it, so.
Right, what I'm saying is that they closed it to repair and recharge the sprinkler system and have fire alarm system tested and brought back to being fully operational.
What are you reading from?
This
Councilman?
is
I
from
apologize.
7/28. So when they decided to close it.
7/28 this year.
Yes.
Yeah,
When they
so-
decided to close it, it was because of these two issues. Yet
Correct.
only one issue here is being addressed. You're not addressing both issues in this RFP or in this purchase order.
No,
You're only addressing the one.
No, I think we're doing both.
No, I do this for a living, so I'm telling you, you're only addressing one from the documents.
Okay.
And that's why I'm questioning this, because what I'm saying is, this is great, right? You think you're doing a great job, you're putting the wheels on the car, but I'm telling you, you don't have a motor in the car, so it's not gonna function. And that's what my question is, but as long as I have your attention.
You always have my attention.
I know, but this is a life safety issue.
Sure.
When this life safety issue was first brought up, in whatever year you want to go to, 2019, 2020, 2021, this council had no clue what was going on. So the administrations knew, your directors knew, but we did not know. Is there a way that any life safety issues and reports shall be submitted to council without us having to Oprah request these and do the follow-up? Like, if there's a failure in any of our fire reports, which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like over 10 items that failed, shouldn't council be notified so that then we could be proactive? Instead of me asking for potholes to be fixed by our residents, can we concentrate on this? Like, can we pass an
I'd have
ordinance?
to talk, I don't really know what the sequencing of notices are by the fire marshal, but certainly I'll find out.
Okay.
And I'm assuming you're talking about with regards to public buildings.
Our buildings, yes. Yes, our buildings, not the school buildings, but like township buildings, because we have the municipal building, of which I don't know that our fire alarm or sprinkler has been tested here yet either. Okay. So I don't know the status of this.
Fair question.
All right, that was it. Thank you.
Council President?
Yes, Councilman Patil, I recognize you have the floor.
Thank you. I'm in fully support of this resolution, though I have a question. How we are addressing Meals on Wheels program currently, which was active in senior center. Now senior center is closed. How we are serving those meals to our seniors?
I think all of the programs, Laura, once again, might know, I think they have all been relocated to other buildings.
Yeah, we would have to check with the health director, but I believe they are. They moved the locations, and I believe they're also serving the meals. But I can find out exactly how they're doing them for you, but I do know that they're still doing them. They're
Thank
still
you.
having them.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Patil. Madam Clerk, just make sure the record reflects the comments of Councilman Brescher and Council Vice President Shipp. Moving forward to the Department of Law, A, B, C, D, and E. Any questions or comments from council members?
Okay.
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Patel.
12B, I had a question. The verbiage on 14-2.5, If I can just get a clarification, because I was kind of confused by that change. It says, here,
Go ahead.
open frame.
It's okay. I mean, I'll grab it. Just tell me what it is what your question is, Council?
Before I stated that a certificate of occupancy will not be issued by the construction official until a certificate of site occupancy is received by the construction official.
Correct.
From the township, but now it says it will not be issued if a certificate of site occupancy is received by the construction official. I'm just confused by the verbiage.
Sorry. Twelve B?
14.5.
14. This was drafted.
Well, BS.
I think that there's a word missing. Yeah, I think that if a certificate of site occupancy is not received by the construction official. Cheryl, I don't want to mark up your official
Go
thing
ahead,
here.
go ahead, mark it up, and then I'll
Okay.
change it.
Correct. Thank you, Councilman.
You want red pen?
I got it. No, I got it black. That's good.
Had you seen that?
Yeah, it is a word missing. It's not. You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilmember Patel. Any other comments?
Council President?
Councilmember Patel, you good? Anything else?
Yes.
Okay, Councilmember Pointer, you recognize you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. Can I get clarification on 12A? I think I get the gist as to why this modification is being presented. I'm just looking for clarification.
Well, once again, these are all regulation. There's a new state regulation on stormwater controls, and I think that all we're doing is updating our ordinances to conform with the state model. So,
Right.
I
So
think-
anything-
and a lot of it had to do with the flood designations
Mhm.
that were done after the storms that we had. I guess it was 2 or 3 years ago. They changed. So the state is mandating us to update our stormwater ordinances so that our nomenclature fits the FEMA nomenclature. So I'm assuming that in future events that they would coincide. I think that that's what at least that's my understanding.
I don't know, because FEMA was here for Ida.
No, I get that, but this is pretty much saying that any plot that is just a single or a multifamily would not have to submit a stormwater prevention plan, unless I'm misreading this.
No, I think you might be, because I think it's single family, but I don't believe that it's multifamily. It depends on the zone. And if you want, I can have somebody from our engineering firm reach out to you. They're the ones that manage.
Yeah, I
these
guess my
regulations
concern
on
is like,
basis.
from a major subdivision plan, right? That's
Correct.
5 lot
But
being
it's
divided
not.
into 5.
But it's not. So that's always different. When we talk about isolated single-family lots, we talk about subdivision. A subdivision is, 5 lots is a 5-lot subdivision. It's not, that doesn't mean that that they're treated as 5 different lots. In other words, it's a major subdivision plan, so major subdivision plans are different.
Well, that's my point, because if it were 4, that's a minor subdivision, but
Correct.
then how I'm interpreting this is that if it were 4, then they would not be subject to this regulation.
I
And that's
don't
what
believe so, but I'm going to have the engineering department reach out for you directly.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President.
No, thank you, Councilman Porter. Any other comments on Department of Law?
Council President?
Hold on, we'll do it right after, actually do it right now. Any other comments we had?
Council President?
Sure, Councilman Brescher, you have the floor.
C,
Yes.
we're changing the designation for who does what. Is that correct?
Correct.
Would there,
This is all coming out of, and these ordinances are all coming out of, as you know, we have let's call it a new manager there, who is now trying to reorganize the workflow in some respect. That Mr. McNally, as you know, has been there now for probably now about 6 weeks.
well, my question is more of a monetary question. Now that, I guess this would be, planning was doing it, correct?
Correct.
And now the clerk's office is doing it.
I didn't think we were moving it to the clerk's office. I think it's all within, they did decide to move it, that's where they
Right.
decided to move it.
So my question is that now that planning is doing less work and the clerk's office is doing more work, shouldn't there be an allocation of funds from the one department to the other?
Well, I think part of the problem is that planning is having the problem of keeping up with what it's doing. So I think that that's really what they're trying to do.
I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying when you transfer a workload from one department to another, shouldn't the other department receive compensation? So they're allowed to have that overtime or whatever they might need to do in the clerk's office to achieve this new task. I seen the clerk's office, they're all working every day. So,
Correct, except that the way this is written, there are other sections in your law, for instance, we're not changing what's happening in the municipal land use law, what's happening in the land use section, because
Right.
those are still all designated by, who those administrative officials are designated by that law. I think that's what they're doing. I think that's the whole purpose of it, is to not have, I think the purpose of this is to not have the engineering and planning department do things that are by law designated by the clerk's office. I think that's the only distinction they're trying to make.
right, and I was just asking about funding. If the new administrator can look at the funding, that's all.
I think this is
No more work?
this is comporting what we do with what the law is. It's not changing what
So
anybody
you
does.
have no more work? Okay, we're
There's
good.
no more work.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments on the Department of Law? At this time, we're going to address comments from our attorney and Department of Law.
So I just wanted to take a moment. I know that I circulated a memo. I tried to make it as succinct as possible. Some members of the council may have had experience with handling an appeal from the zoning board, but I know that there are new council members who certainly have not, council president. So we kind of I tried to lay out the process, and let's start from kind of A to Z. A member of the public has a right to file an appeal from the grant of a use variance by the zoning board. So you recently had that happen with regards to the Charlie Brown site, and you now have an appeal that's been filed. So the law now prescribes a process, and the process requires the person who files the appeal to provide transcripts to the township clerk for each of the members of the council to review. We've also begun to make arrangements to have the entire record before the zoning board given to the clerk's office, so the clerk can also distribute that. So why are we doing that? Because the appeal that is going to be before you is going to be based upon the record that was before the zoning board. So this is not a hearing like the zoning board hearing where there was additional testimony and witnesses given. This is, you're sitting essentially like an appellate court. So there's a record that is before you. It's the same record, by the way, that if this ever went to court, it would be reviewed by a judge. So I tried to lay out, and the standards that you're going to be held to are the same standards as the zoning board, right? So you're going to have to make the same determination as to whether or not a use variance was appropriate. And in my memo to you, I laid out some of those standards generally so that you understand what they are. I encourage everybody to read the record, read the transcripts, read the zoning board resolution so that you can get a flavor of what it kind of, obviously what it's all about. I sent the memo because the important part, I think, at this point in time, the important issues at this point in time are procedural, because you're going to have to set a schedule as to how you want to hear this. In the past, the way councils have handled this is that they've given both the appellant and the applicant, the developer, let's call them, the ability to make written submissions. And by written submissions, I mean arguments, not additional testimony. So once again, under the theory that you're like the appellate court, to give everybody a chance to focus their arguments. Council will need to set a date to have a hearing. The hearing will be where the appellant and the applicant will be allowed to speak, to kind of make their case to you. And then ultimately, council will have to make a decision, and that will all have to be put in a resolution. So I put a time schedule on, I put a proposed schedule on the back. I did not talk to the council president before I did it. I just wanted to lay out so that you understood that the 95th day is around November 1st, but your last council meeting is probably about a week before that. So you have to get through this process by that point in time. Once council has decided when they want to do each of these steps, the clerk's office and I will then notify the applicant, notify the appellant, notify them when their, let's call them filing requirements are, notify them when the hearing will take place so that everybody understands what it is. The clerk's office will also have to publish notices 10 days before the hearing. It's not something that, we want to be able to understand what the process is going forward. You don't have to take the entire 95 days. It's really council's determination as to how slowly or how quickly you want to do it.
Can I ask you a question?
Certainly.
You say, for instance, I was at the Clara Barton site and I was in support of all the people that were there.
Mm-hmm.
Would I be able to vote at that time, or I have to recuse myself, or what would I have to do?
Well, we're actually working through, I didn't want to get into those
Okay.
conflict issues. There are conflict issues that were raised by the applicant to me right after the appeal was filed. My office is kind of vetting them and going through them. I probably need to talk to each of the individual council people. You weren't one of the names that was raised by the applicant at this stage. So I'll need to go through that, and before, obviously, we get to a vote, we'll have to make a determination as to whether or not there are any conflicts that rise to the level that would prevent a council person from hearing it.
Okay, so this appeal, there's still a step after this appeal?
So after this appeal, there's a number of things that could happen, right? You could overturn the appeal, overturn the grant of the application, which would mean that the applicant would either go away or go to the Superior Court. You could affirm the decision of the zoning board, which means that whoever filed the appeal could either go to court or accept that decision. Or you could decide that you wanted to modify and send the matter, or send it back to the zoning board for further consideration. So that's basically going to be your three options. If you modify or if you overturn the decision of the zoning board, you will need 4 votes. Regardless of how many people ultimately get to consider this application, you will need 4 votes.
I have a
So if
question.
there's only 4 people who don't have a conflict, all 4 people would have to, if you're going to overturn it, you would have to have 4 votes. Anything less than that would be an affirmance of the zoning
Then
board.
we would be responsible for the money spent to appeal it at the next level? The council's responsible?
No. The answer, generally, after council is done, then all that happens is it goes to court, and the answer is the township will be responsible for paying the legal fees of whoever it is that's defending the township. I can't tell you whether or not somebody would decide. Typically in these cases, or I shouldn't say typically, it is not unusual in these cases for somebody to challenge if there's a denial by the zoning board, to challenge the denial and also challenge the ordinance, right? So if that's the case, what'll happen is that the township attorney's office and the zoning board attorney will both be in the case. That's typically what happens. But we're not responsible for paying the other side's fees. That doesn't happen.
No, okay. I just wanted to make it clear to a lot of people, so if they ask me the questions later on, it's better to hear
Always.
it from you
Correct.
than to hear it from me.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Councilwoman Harris, you have the
Yes,
floor.
I have a question. If there are recusals or abstentions, do you have to have a minimum of 4 people sitting on council in order to take a vote on this?
Boy, this is going to become a bar exam question pretty soon. Because here's what happens. If you have a governing body of 7, you need a quorum of 4. Once you get below 4, then there's a doctrine in the law called the doctrine of necessity. So there are circumstances where the council gets to a small enough number that they don't have enough people to actually legally qualify to act on something. At that point in time, the doctrine of necessity would let everybody vote on it. And that's what happened. There's a pretty famous case that I played a little role in out of Teaneck, in which, not just, out of, it wasn't out of Teaneck, it was where Teterboro, where the airport was. And they only had 9 residents in the town, and everybody in the town was either on, they were all adults, they were either on the planning board or the council, and a developer bought all of the houses and was gonna move them out. And everybody had a conflict because everybody was either a member of the planning board or a member of the council, and they were all being evicted. And then ultimately, the court talked about the fact that in that circumstance, somebody had to make a decision. So that would bring everybody back in, essentially. So if all of you had a conflict, you would end up all having to decide it.
Okay. Thank you, council members. Moving forward to the Department of Planning and Engineering, 13, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and J has been amended. This has been going back up 24-05. Yeah, the lot number was wrong. This was a previous study we did, and we've included a lot that was not on there. Is that correct?
That's correct, Council President.
Are there any questions or, well, first going down the list, any questions or comments from A to J? Hearing none?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Council President.
Councilman Porter, sure, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. In regards to item F, the MEP or the MEP for the senior citizens. One of the items I noticed is that it did not include for a generator. So I was wondering why that might not be, because I would imagine that we would want that figured in for the facility.
I'm sorry, for the RFP for F, this is for the, it's a professional.
The MEP for the construction design of the senior citizen center at
Oh, you need to
Idlewild.
include it. So this, what this is this is just an RFP for professional services to hire the engineer to do the specs and the construction oversight. So that's not the actual specs when we build it and do the construction of it.
Okay, I guess my question is why would they design the facility without that type of item included? And I can take this offline to show you where on the spec that is, but that's my
What,
general.
that they, okay. Oh, you mean on the, okay, so you can, and I'll be honest with you, the engineers are the ones who did the specs for the professionals, so I didn't do the
I
actual,
understand.
all of them, but this is, they didn't actually do the construction ones yet. But, so it's to be determined what we're gonna include in the specs, in the actual specs of it. So, this is just for them to look at the architectural drawings and to design the actual specs and all of that for it. But we can look through it and see what's, if there was something for it, but they didn't actually make all the determinations on what they're looking for yet. But you're talking about a general big,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, that's it. Thank you,
problem.
Council President.
You raise a good point. Madam Clerk, just make sure the comments reflect our minutes, and let's
Council
get an answer
President?
tomorrow. Councilmember Brescher, you have the floor.
Yes, I got one request and one question. On J, what area was this? What was the address?
On 27, this is the corner across from the Pines Manor.
Okay.
So one of those lots, there was a split lot that was not included.
Correct, and the tax assessor picked it up.
Okay.
You had to change them, yep.
My next is a request. We're doing some work on the senior center, and we hired I believe a professional architect who's also doing the architectural, the engineering, MEPs. I think he's doing everything.
No, and bear with me because I'm not an expert on this. So the architect does the architectural drawings, and then the engineer does the structural, and there's 2 separate ones. There's a structural, because you'll see there's 4 different ones, 2 for each. So there's a structural, the engineer does a structural, and then there's one that does mechanical and electrical. And, so there's 2 separate ones. You'll see 2 separate for each one. So the architect does the architectural drawings, which is a
Well,
different company.
No, I know.
Well, yeah, you would.
Right, I probably did this for maybe 35 years. But typically, like any building, like our schools, they give the job to an architectural firm. It's the architectural firm to go out and they hire an MEP and a structural, and they hire all of the engineers that work underneath their umbrella, okay? Because that way you have one person that's basically culpable. There's no finger pointing going, the architect should have picked it up or the engineer should have picked it up, and where you have holes and you come back for things that you don't know anything about because you don't do construction for a living. So my question is, for the senior center, I'd like to get a dollar amount for what that renovation was, and then what we paid that architectural company for architectural, mechanical, and structural, right? So he gave us a price for that, and I'm gonna make up a number of, it's probably 10% of the overall project, might be 12% of the overall project. And then if I could just get the tote center, what our projected cost is for that building, so then I can extrapolate and see that we're not paying more doing it individually as opposed to hiring one firm that everybody falls underneath his umbrella. And I'll give you an example. I've seen the township here hire an engineering company. They charge you 10% to design and then 10% to oversee. Yet, when the schools hired an architect to build an addition, the architect's charging like 10% to design and oversee, and they also included all of the mechanical, structural, and everything else in that number. You know, so it's a more efficient way. So I'm looking just to see whether we're paying 10% overall on the project for the tote center, or are we gonna be paying 20% because we're breaking this down into giving it to separate specialty people?
Okay, so what my understanding is that the architects obviously is doing the architectural work, but none of the engineering work. But, so tell me what it is you want from the architect for me, so I can find out.
Okay, for the senior center, I'm looking to get the cost for that build out we're doing,
Right,
and then the total professional fees we're paying for architectural, mechanical, and structural, whether you went to one person or multiple.
well, there should be none of the mechanical, because that's what we're getting from the engineering, but I'll find out, you know what I mean? Because that's what this is, for the engineering for mechanical.
No, this is for the tote center, no?
Yeah, well, we have both, so if you look at it.
I'm
we're
talking about
having-
the senior center that we're already doing the bathrooms in.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought we
So
were
we
just
have,
talking
we have a
about these.
senior center, and what I noticed on the senior center was that the architect recommended that we replace the mechanical.
I'm sorry, I thought we were talking about these.
Right. The architect recommended that we did the mechanical replacement, because I seen it came from the architect's letterhead
Talking about toes.
for the senior center.
Yeah, but she thought you was talking about.
Right, and what I'm looking for the tote center then is, what's our projected cost for the build-out? And then I have the numbers for the
Right.
architect, and so I can pull that out. And then just say, hey, listen, you know what, you're coming in at the same percentage, or you're coming in at 20% instead of 10. Maybe you should, relook at this.
Anything else, Councilman Presser?
That's it for 13, thank you.
Madam Clerk, just let's get his questions written down and make sure the
Council President,
BA gets them to be answered. You recognize you have the floor.
all right, over there, I don't remember her name,
Laura.
Laura. Could you find out for me, what's the percentage of stuff that we would be able to offset the cost by getting grants for the senior building at TOF? Because I know there are senior grants available throughout the state at this particular time. So I just want to know, like Councilman Brescher, the overhead amount of the TOF building, and what percentage can we expect to, offset the cost with grants from the state of New Jersey towards
That we
seniors?
currently have, or that they're looking to get?
That they're looking to get.
Okay, thank you, Council Vice President. Any other comments again from the Department of Law A through J?
Council President?
Yes, Councilman. Planning and Engineering A through J.
On F and G, there were multiple bids, and there were some significant cheaper bids on it, and I'm just curious as to why we went with what we went with.
Well, with professional services, and we do RFPs, that is not just low bid, they go by price and other factors, meaning their resumes, their experience and items like that. So that is always looked at, their whole submittals are looked at, and what their qualifications are and other jobs that they've done. And that's determined by the township, they look through all of them.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Department of Planning and Engineering. Hearing none, moving forward to the Department of Public Works, A, B, and C, D, E, and F. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, moving forward to the Department of Water and Sewer, A, B, C, and D. Any questions or comments from council members? Hearing none.
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Patel.
This might be a dumb. Laura, I just had a quick question on the leasing of the copier.
Yes.
Would it be cheaper to buy it? Because I was looking at used.
It's so funny you say that. Everybody always says that. And, we've gone back and forth about that. If we buy them, so these are leased for 4 years, and we get a certain amount of copies. And with these particular ones for Rec Center, we up the one for, without me looking at it, because I think about this all the time. We talk about this all the time. So we lease them for 4 years, and then you get a new one with the new technology every 4 years. And the leases, you get a certain amount of copies, and they include the toner, they include the staples, they include all of the maintenance.
Okay.
So for the ones that we buy, we also have a separate maintenance agreement. So we pay that separately, on a different contract. It comes up yearly, you see it, but you probably don't even realize it. So that separate agreement, that includes maintenance and toner on a whole separate one. So I sit there and I try and figure out, and we've, several years ago, we kind of did a comparison. And I don't want to say that, it just depends. It depends on if you get a copier that breaks down all the time, that you own, then you're paying more. If you get a copier that, doesn't break down, it's, I guess, almost like a car, and then with copiers, people want the best thing, the most, the nicer ones every 4 years with technology, you get new stuff, you get better copiers. So it just, sometimes it just depends, and every time I get a new one, I'm like, should we buy it, should we lease it, Sometimes we still buy them with grants and things like that, because that's good. So even sometimes I go to other person, like, wait, are you still leasing them? And everybody I know leases them, but with cars, I never lease them because I buy them, but I run them to the ground. So it's always a thing with me. I got to be honest with you. I'm always I'm always like that. I got to tell you, I always am, because toner's so expensive. It really is. It's a couple hundred. So, especially when you get somebody who uses a lot, like Rec, the price just went up because they've been using them a lot. So when we did the new one, and but it's just when they get older, when you buy them and they get older, it costs us a lot more. So I got to tell you, it depends on the machine.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other questions or comments on the water and sewer, A, B, C, and D? Hearing none, moving forward to 16 from the Department of Recreation, A, B, C, D, and E. Any questions or comments from council members?
Council President?
Yes.
The D, I guess we have the latchkey. Can we just get the number that we spent on snacks last year?
I know that number.
Do you?
Per snack, it was 90 cents last year. I think it's $1.10 this year, right?
$1.10.
Yeah, it was 90 cents last year.
So we really give out this many
Wait a
snacks.
second.
I mean,
What
when I
number
seen
is
it was
it?
$1 a snack, and it's
No,
$190,000 on snacks. I'm
No,
like,
it is.
that's
Wait a second.
That's what I mean. How many
16D,
kids do we have in the
Because I think
program?
I might have grabbed the number because I thought somebody might ask me that.
16D.
Councilman Besher, I'm glad you brought this up. I think I'm going to establish a committee for you to find sponsors for
Oh,
the
I didn't put the
snacks.
dollar amount. Wait a second, I might have.
Council President.
Yes.
You know what?
I don't believe that it's just snacks. 'Cause when we go to every program, the Halloween program, all the things that are happening together, I believe that so, because
No,
I'm
it
like you,
actually
that's a lot of candy.
No, it did. It
No,
said
this
snacks.
is just the latchkey. Yeah, we spent like, I think it was like, last year, it was a not to exceed 180, and it was more this year because the price went up.
Okay.
And I think we spent like 175 or,
And we do get, I mean, we get reimbursed. We
Yeah,
charge
it
the
all goes
parents
through
for the
the trust,
program.
yeah, we do.
Okay.
From the program, the money comes in, yeah.
Right, so I mean, I do get that, but I just noticed that, and it just looked,
Yeah, every year it gets great, but it goes through, it's with the Board of Ed, it goes through their vendor. We don't bid that out, the Board of Ed does, and it goes through their vendor.
actually,
It's
the
like with
vendor is actually a very good vendor. I
It's
tried
that
their
chart,
food.
well, yeah, it's a chart.
So, okay, thank you.
Okay. I certainly hope they're healthy snacks.
I can't answer that one, but they
Right.
usually are these days.
So any other questions, Department of Recreation?
Council President?
Yes. Councilman.
Actually, along the same item, because of the price increase, the amount of snacks that would be available decreases, right? Because of, if you divide 190,000 divided by $1.10, it's 172,000. Whereas in previous years, we actually allotted for more snacks, right? If you had 180,000 divided by 80 cents, you get 225,000, as an example. So can we confirm that this is actually enough for the?
Well, I get the dollar amount from Joyce. She gives me the amount that I should award, based on what she needs for her enrollment.
Okay, I trust her.
Okay.
And then the school provides the snacks, it goes through the schools?
It goes through the program, because the Latchkey program is run by Recreation. So they provide it through that. And yes, the company is through the schools, like the company is through the schools is through the Board of Ed.
Oh, because they don't have Chartwells anymore. I think they have
Oh, I'm
another
sorry, you're
company.
absolutely right. It's Mass, I keep calling them, they had it for about 20 years I've been doing this. I think they changed it last year. It's Mass Geos or, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so
Okay, 'cause
used
I
to
was
it.
wondering. I know it changed, I just wanted to have.
Yeah,
it
no,
on
you're
paper.
absolutely right. I'm back 20 years now.
Okay, so then they can give you a report of how much that costs. So when we give it to the school will give us the report about the snacks. We'll get the information from them.
No, yeah, we get every year, if you see, I think it's on your attachment, they send us, the school sends us their notice that it's 90 cents, and like their resolution that it's passed for 90 cents through their Board of Ed. It should be attached to your information. If not, I have it.
Okay.
Okay, moving forward, thank you. No other comments for that, moving forward. From the Chief of Fire, A, B, and C, any questions or comments? Hearing none. Moving forward to the Chief of Police, A, B, C, and D. Any questions or comments from council members?
Council President.
Yes.
And this is great that we have Laura here tonight. Because
Speak your
this one-
mic.
This one's stumped.
Speak to your mic.
She's coming to every meeting from now on. I forgot I had to make that announcement. Congratulations, Laura.
I got away with it for 38 years, guys, come on.
My question was, I looked at this as we were paying,
I'm sorry, which one are we talking about?
wait a minute. I'm sorry, it was 18 traffic signals, B,
Okay.
right? And I think it's B that I'm looking at. This is where we're paying to like maintenance with the county for traffic signals.
No, are we talking 18 to B? No, I'm not too knowledgeable about this, but I didn't put this on. I don't know if anyone here knows, but I think that's where,
But let me tell you where my concern is.
Okay, go
If you
ahead.
go through our scan pack, in section 2, there's a engineering company, like RVM. They were also in our other engineering section.
no,
Farmington
that
Vernick?
should not, no longer be.
What's that? It was inside the second part of the scan pack, right? And the part that got me was, it was like for an emergency to look at a traffic signal at Warwick and Oak Tree Road. Does anybody know about a new traffic light at Warwick and Oak Tree Road?
I don't.
I don't even know where Warwick Street
You're
is.
saying it's in 18, wait, let me grab it.
Let's see where it is.
No, I'm looking at 18B, it's not there.
No, it was in the scan pack. I mean, maybe I have the wrong item, but I read it.
Oh, no, I saw it, I just saw it, that word, where you saw it. That was in an email.
No, what
That
was
was in
it?
the scan pack. The county engineer, or Oak Tree Road at Warwick Road.
Yes.
It says it in the memo from Kenny.
Then I'm just, you know what it is, I mean, I'm looking for Edison to stay like Edison. I don't know that we need another traffic light, but we should probably discuss that before we hire someone for a study, I guess is my question.
Yeah, here it is. It's right there, Lou. It's in that packet. Oak Tree and Warwick.
Right, Warwick's by the automat type, right?
Not attached to the resolution that I had, that's why.
No, that's the resolution, but Kenny's, oh, you didn't see. Is that coming on to Oak Tree Road?
Or is that not part of, like, it looked like it was different. The other stuff looked like it was maintenance for the traffic signals. This looked like a whole separate, like, study maybe, whether it's needed or not.
No, actually, this looks like, this, council, I'm just reading this email for the first time. It looks like that was done before. It says Oak Tree Road at Warwick Road, the county and the township previously agreed to this as part of the new traffic signal design, but the county never issued an agreement to memorialize it.
Right, my question is, because there's no light there now.
Yeah.
And to me, putting a light there, what happens is every time you put a light, you cause another traffic problem somewhere else. And I've watched that happen in that whole area up there. Like you put a light by Warwick, everybody's gonna be going down Mount Pleasant. It's gonna be like a freeway.
Well, I have a feeling that if you read on, it says, we previously agreed to this at every traffic signal at Woodbridge Avenue, and the new traffic signal being installed by the county at Oak Tree Road at Warwick. So I think it's a county project.
So the county has approved this light there?
I believe so.
We're just taking on the maintenance, right? Like the
Correct.
rest of them.
Mhm.
And in this particular one, it looks like it's that preemptive thing they're talking about, not the light itself.
Correct.
All of these, right?
Well, this is, right, and that would go back to the other question of, since this is for maintenance, how can we do maintenance on a light that doesn't exist?
No, I think that the county makes us sign the agreements, and we sign those agreements in advance. It's part of the county's, when the county does the new traffic signal. But the answer is that we need to get Captain Schreck to give you that answer, because I don't think Laura or I have it. It wasn't a purchasing or legal one.
Okay, okay, so if we can get that tomorrow or something.
Madam Clerk, can we get clarification from Captain Schreck?
Correct.
Any communication with Mr. Brescher tomorrow before the end of the day?
Did you just want to know about this particular?
No, I think you wanted to know whether or not there is really the plans for a new traffic signal at Oak Tree and Warwick. Correct.
Yeah, we'll follow up on that,
Yeah,
Laura.
I
Laura,
understand.
we're going to take it out of your hands. The clerk is going to handle this 100%. All right?
I'm good with that.
You can answer it at the next meeting.
The other 37 questions we want answers for tomorrow. Okay,
Let's
moving
hope I
forward.
could read my writing.
Okay, any other questions for the chief of police? Council members, hearing none, moving forward. What are we adding to the agenda? Something else here? Adding to the clerk resolution. Okay, for the liquor license for the Hilton Gardens for the term of 2022 and 2023. It's a renewal. Okay?
Okay.
So all members, anybody agree or disagree? So we'll be adding that, okay? All right. So moving forward to we have enough time? Councilmember of the Planning Board.
It was a 3.5-hour meeting, so I will do my best to be
Hold
brief.
on, no, listen.
God bless you.
We'll keep, we definitely yield a fair amount of time for you. I just have to put on my timer.
Thank you, Council
No problem.
President.
It's all
Again,
yours.
I will attempt to be as brief as possible. On Monday, August 15th, the Planning Board held its August monthly meeting with the following acted on. First, resolutions were presented and all were approved, which included P7-2019, request for extension at 165 Fieldcrest, P14-2019, request for extension of time for 140 Fieldcrest, P5232, request for extension of time for Pagoda Homes, P5244, Kevin Nugent, minor subdivision, 271 Central, Seward Realty LLC, prelim and final site plan. That was actually the denial. And P13-2020, designer greetings, clarification of conditions on prior approval. The following applications were heard under old business. P14-2020, Edison Prince, 1095 Route 1, Block 201, Lot 16. Applicant is proposing to demolish the existing Home Depot on Route 1 and construct a Wawa convenience store, which would include for fuel sale. This matter was before the board on June 10th, 2021. It was held over for litigation with Ultimate Collision. The board heard a brief overview of the proposed project from the applicant's professionals as testimony was previously heard, fielding remaining questions from the board's professionals and members. After hearing testimony, Chairman Sandelsky opened it up to the public for comment. With no one wishing to speak, the public comment portion was closed. The board voted to approve the preliminary and final site plan, subject to the recommendations as agreed upon from the board's professionals' review and conditions as stipulated during the hearings. The following applications were heard under new business. P8-2022, Accurate Real Estate, 226 Lincoln Highway, Block 649, Lot 11, 2A and 13A. This applicant requested to be carried over. Considering this was the fourth time the applicant was supposed to be heard, the board approved sending a formal notice to the applicant that if they did not proceed with their hearing at the next meeting, the application would be denied without prejudice. A renotice is required and is scheduled to be heard. My terminology might be off on the denial aspect, but it's held over to the next meeting. P06-2020, AAP FED Property LLC, 484 and 500 Plainfield Avenue, Block 3B, Lot 20.01 and 20.02. This was the subdivision application for preliminary and final site plan approval located at the Edison Job Corps on Plainfield Avenue. A new lot containing 4.26 acres of land would be created. The applicant proposed to construct an approximately 61,800 square foot principal warehouse with office space. The board heard testimony from the applicant's professionals, which included an architect, engineer, planner, and business representative. Discussions included the type of warehouse that could be expected, truck sizes and routes, and other items. After hearing testimony, Chairman Sandelsky opened it up to the public for comment. With no one wishing to speak, the public comment was closed. The board voted to approve for preliminary site plan only, subject to all conditions as stipulated by the board and recommendations as noted in the board professionals report. The applicant will be required to come back with additional information to the board as they were looking to get more information regarding the truck pattern entering and exiting the property. P11-2022, 75 Carter Drive, Edison LLC, 75 Carter Drive, Block 22, Lot 14.B. Applicant proposed to restripe the existing parking lot, which previously was approved with a parking deficiency, to bring up their ADA spaces to current code. The board heard testimony from the applicant's professionals as to the current use of the property and why the changes were required. After hearing testimony, Chairman Sandelsky opened it up to the public for comment. With no one wishing to speak, the public comment portion was closed. The board voted to approve the preliminary site plan only because additional items will still need to be presented as part of the application. Once that information is available, the applicant will come back to the board for final site plan approval. And finally, P5245, AAA NJ Homes, 104 Loring Avenue, Block 232, Lot 27. Applicant proposed a minor subdivision of a current 12,500 square foot lot to create two lots. Variances were requested for lot width, 62.5 where 75 is required, and lot area, 6,250 square feet where 7,500 is required. After hearing testimony from the applicant's professionals, Chairman Sandelsky opened it up to the public for comment, with several residents expressing their concerns. After hearing from everyone wishing to speak, the public portion was closed. The board voted to approve subject to all recommendations as agreed upon regarding the board's professionals' reviews and conditions as stipulated during the hearing. The next meeting is scheduled for Monday, September 19th at 7 p.m. here at Council Chambers. Thank you, Council President.
Council President.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry, Councilmember. Thank you, Councilmember Pointer. That was great. Councilmember Patel, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have one question on to Councilman Pointer. Councilman Pointer, the 500 Plainfield Avenue, the subdivision, the parcel 4+ acres lot next to Job Corp, which is at the intersection of New Brunswick, Stelton, and Plainfield, correct? Do we know the size of the warehouse they are looking for?
So the warehouse in and of itself was, I want to say 54,000 when you take out the office space. They did provide testimony about the potential truck paths, which, because of the proximity to New Brunswick, they did not say that they would be making a left on there. They would have to go down to, the name's escaping me now, where Kilmer is, go the back route to Road 2, up to Ethel, all the way out that way.
Because this is very densely populated area. If you look at their Edison Manor, Hannah Road, Blueberry, Raspberry, several apartment buildings around, including the Rivendell. And there were several projects they were proposed. In fact, there was a Wawa project that was proposed on this dais, and we really pulled that out, knowing the traffic. But I'll be curious to know this big warehouse that's going to potentially create lots and lots of traffic in that neighborhood. But thank you for your report. Thank you. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember Patel. Okay, thank you, everyone. Moving forward to, I don't even know why we have to do this. Everybody spoke, pretty much caught a lot of things. We could probably skip this part. But discussion items. From my, let's see here, we'll start from my left, Councilman John Pointer. Any discussion items?
I do have a couple, but if it's okay to.
I can.
You want to
Take your time for the, okay, Councilman Patel.
Thank you, Council President. Few things that I want to follow up. One was the Summer Street flooding. The residents came multiple times. Last council meeting, we promised them that, the council as well as administration will be visiting the neighborhood. Is there any update or anything that we are aware? Any steps taken into that process? If not, hopefully by Wednesday we can.
Yeah, Councilman Patel, not that I want to stick Laura onto all this, but if I can reflect your comments to the clerk and make sure she follows up for an
Yep,
answer.
absolutely.
You can continue, but I'm going to ask her to take notes
So
and
you want me
also.
to follow up on Summer Street, right?
Yes. Second one is on the Stephenville culvert, that the whole flooding area, I was told the engineering study was done. This is past 3.5, 4 years, we continue to follow the last update by the earlier engineering firm. We were told that we should be ready to start the project this summer, but again, I don't see any update so far. We are in the month of August, and we are probably will be done with summer very soon. So we really need an update, because residents do feel that once the rainy season starts, their houses get flooded. So we need an answer there. Then my last thing is the paving schedule. The schools are going to start in a couple of weeks. We have not started any paving. So do we know any tentative schedule that will be shared with this council? These are only 3 things, Council President.
Great. Thank you, Councilmember Patel. And I have something to add for flooding as well. At 15 Glenville, Madam Clerk.
I'm sorry.
Flooding for 15 Glenville Road.
15 Glenville?
Yeah.
Flooding.
Just to check where we are with that. Okay, Councilmember Patel? None, sir. Councilmember Margot Harris?
None, sir.
Councilmember John Pointer?
Thank you, Council President.
I'm gonna go last. He likes that.
I'll certainly proceed.
Which I just was giving you the courtesy to go last. You mind or no? You cool? He likes that.
All right, thank you, Council President.
You have the floor.
Earlier in the year, we were supposed to, or it was mentioned that the stormwater management plan was going to be updated. I'm just looking for an update on that. Obviously, it doesn't have to be tonight.
what we're going to do. No problem.
I know it was mentioned before, but is it possible to get an update on the Glendale property?
Absolutely. In fact, I'm going to ask the clerk to ask for a history of some of the questions to be answered. It's fair.
In regards to
Well,
the,
I mean, we can do that, or I could just, so we have an agreement, once again, we have an agreement in principle. I understand what that is. We've reached an agreement with regards to the number, but there are two separate litigations that we need to work our way through. So one is the litigation that the township filed with regards to Mr. Schneer. It's not Mr. Schneer, Schneer Company, which is located adjacent to the property. And the second piece of litigation is a piece of litigation by Schneer against the property owner of the Glendale property. So it's complicated, the negotiations in terms of the form of the contract, but that's where we are. And the answer is, when was the last time we were in touch with them? I speak to their attorney about, the property owner's attorney, literally every week about it, and we're trying to work through those issues. So that's where we are.
thank you, sir.
So Lou, just to clarify, we have a contract.
We
with
don't have the
seller.
contract signed yet. We have an agreement with that. We have an agreement as to price with the property owner, but there are two pieces of litigation with regards to the adjoining property owner. One with the Glendale property owner and one with the township, and we have to work through and resolve those litigations as part of the sale. So it's really the litigation issues that have delayed it.
Okay. And is this the property at the bottom of the block as part of the?
No, it's actually the property that's at the bottom of, well, you would know, there's a property at the bottom of Silver Lake Avenue in which the township sued as a result of the fact that the property owner had closed off that property.
Okay.
So it's that litigation is one of the litigations.
Councilman Porter, is that some
Yeah,
answers?
In that regard, yes, I do have a couple of other comments to our attorney, if I can. A couple weeks ago, I had sent an email inquiring about a Superior Court decision that had occurred. And I understand that the planning board is responsible for the master plan, but there was one excerpt from that court case or the appeal that brought to attention about council having to approve or give a resolution of approval for the reexamination report. Were you able to?
As far as I know, that's not correct. And I understand the court decision and the provision that you said, but it's not. So the master plan document itself is approved by the planning board. There are different elements to it. One of the elements to it is the zoning element. So the master plan may recommend a change in zoning for a piece of property. The property does not, the zone does not change until the council passes an ordinance changing the zoning ordinance. So in that circumstance, that would be the case. The housing element to the plan, which is the fair share plan for the township, which is effectively your Mount Laurel settlement, is also an element of the master plan, but that also requires the township to enact certain provisions of it by ordinance. So it's a planning guide, and that the planning document itself is approved by the planning board, but there are certain provisions of it that are implemented. You know, if the master plan says we should have there should be a road that goes from A to B, the planning board doesn't have any ability to build a road. It would have to be the council who would do it. But the planning document itself is approved by the planning board.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure in the event of a potential appeal in similar fashion that we weren't putting ourselves like in a bad position
No.
because we did not do any action. Thank you. In regards to what Councilman Patil had mentioned, the concern with like the warehouse, one of the items that I actually did recently was almost like a color by code of the Edison zoning map. And I'll give Councilwoman, Council Vice President Chef Freeman a couple of suggestions that I came up with in that review. But one of the items that Councilman Patil was mentioning was in regards to the proximity of residential properties. And especially with everything that's going on with Amazon, maybe one of the recommendations could be having certain types of warehouses a certain feet away from residential properties. We also need to update certain terms and code because that gets into the appeal decision that I was previously mentioning about where one of the items specifically mentioned that certain aspects of our code were dated, and that was actually used kind of against us. So I'm looking forward to what the master plan subcommittee comes up with. And the last item I have, and I know enforcement is an issue or may be difficult, but at the Walmart parking lot on 27, there's an abundance of trucks that just park there for long periods of time. And I know that it was previously acted on, but is there anything that the township is able to do about that?
Walmart.
The Walmart parking lot. So like if you're driving 27 going south, or if you're going northbound, like the entire lot is
And
just.
I actually, I left here this morning and actually noticed that. And I think what caught my eye was the fact that there was a tractor trailer unloading cars on 27, but parked in the parking lot was a series of. So the answer is we'll check with our police department. Obviously, if they're there and they're idling, it violates a state law and a local ordinance. But we will check.
Madam Clerk, we'll get a conversation with Captain Shrek on that as well. I don't want to leave that with Laura. It's not a financial question.
That's it for me.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Is that it? No problem.
Council President?
Council Vice President, you have the floor.
All right, I want people to come out on Wednesday on the 24th, and we need more support for the Ukrainian flag raising, to all work together. And I would like to, applaud Bill Thomas from DPW for, he does like 4 football games a year here in Edison. He's paying like close to $2,000 for just 4 football games in Edison, and at the same time also spending $1,500 for the Jets for the youth league, also for them helping with their helmets and stuff so they don't, so they can do better. He also donated money to domestic violence and also to the pantry. So I mean, like, he's a good steward for us here that he's paying, like, exorbitant amount, like almost $4,000 or so, just to have a couple of football games in town. So I applaud him because he goes above and beyond what other people do. And I just think, I worry about us. I worry about if we're being fair to everybody. I worry about if they have different rules for different folks. So I just want to express this to the people so you can question it, so you can see what's going on. And also, I want you to know on August 25th, at the Robert E. Holmes Apartments, there will be a barbecue, and they will be handing out book bags to the students, to the children down there. And also, to mention also, with Bill Thomas, he also mentors the kids for their STEM program that they have in the Housing Authority. Thank you.
And thank you, Council Vice President. Just adding to William Thomas, he also was the acting director while the director was away, and he did a fantastic job. I had a few emails and some calls on the great job he did as acting director. Moving forward, is that it? I'm sorry, Councilman Brescher. I wouldn't forget you, I'm just kidding.
Well, listen, I only have a couple items now. Everybody else mentioned
I have
them.
a whole blank sheet of paper for you.
But I will tell you that William Thomas has been doing, I've known him to do this kind of charity, I'm going to call it, with the
Yes.
football and that. My children are in their early 30s, and he was doing it when they were like 8. So whatever that math works out to be. He's got over 20 years doing this type of stuff. So I commend him for that. When we talked about flooding, I've just kind of been keeping a track because we have many areas of flooding. We've asked the administration, change of administration, change of administrator, change of engineer. But we also need to add Grove Avenue and Oxford to that list. They were two places that, Oxford and Grove. They're the same ones we've been talking about since, well, last year. The next question I have, I don't know can be answered here, but I'd like to see if I can get an answer on it. Tax reassessment for the town. I believe that we've been out of compliance for maybe 5 years or 10 years. And I'd like the administration's response on when that's going to happen.
We'll get a, Councilman Brescher, we'll get a communication with the tax assessor and yourself tomorrow.
No, it just needs to be, right, it just has to be contracted out there, waiting for the maps that had to be done.
Okay.
The maps were finished last year. We changed it, Minnesota, so the past administration was doing this, they were geared for it, they have all the information. But I haven't heard anything from the new administration, so my question is for the new administration. Tax assessor has whatever she needs.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Brescher. Okay, is there anybody else, any comments? Okay. I
Make a
just said-
motion.
Can I make a comment?
I'm sorry.
I lost my train of thought here.
I apologize.
Okay, I'll save it for the next meeting. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.